In some IELTS Academic Writing Task 1 questions, you will see future trends. For example, the graph may continue into the future, showing years like 2040 or 2050. In our previous lesson, we learned some very useful expressions such as is expected to, is predicted to, and is forecast to. But here's the important question. After these expressions, which form should we use? Should we say to increase, to have increased, to be increased, or to have been increased? Anna, if you had to guess, which one would you choose?
I'd probably choose to increase because it sounds the most natural.
That's a good guess, and sometimes you're absolutely right. But sometimes using to increase may lose you marks in the IELTS exam. So how do we know which one to use? That's exactly what we are going to learn today, step by step. Hello everyone, welcome back to IELTS Clinic. It's me, Ali, back again with another practical IELTS lesson. Today, we are going to look at one of the most important grammar lessons for IELTS Academic Writing Task 1. So, grab your pen, grab your notebook, and let's get started. Let's start with an example. Many students write sentences like this. The population is expected to be increased, and they think it's correct. Well, sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not. By the end of today's lesson, you will know exactly when to use these four structures. Anna, are you ready?
Absolutely. Hi, Ali. It's great to be back. And hello, everyone. I hope you're ready because I have a feeling I'm going to learn a lot today.
I'm sure you will, and I think everyone watching will too. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to choose the correct structure with confidence. Let's start with the easiest one. To increase, take a look at this graph. It shows a population forecast. Anna, before we describe the graph, tell me, what's happening to the population?
It's increasing.
Exactly. Now, let's imagine we are writing an IELTS Writing Task 1 report. How would you complete this sentence? The population is predicted to... Take 5 seconds to think. Students, before Anna answers, think about your answer too. Anna?
I think the population is expected to increase from 5 million to 9 million.
Excellent. That's exactly right. Now let's look at this structure. Expected plus to increase. Notice that we use the active infinitive.
Ali, why do we need to use the active infinitive here?
Because the population does the action itself, nobody is increasing it. The number simply goes up naturally.
So the population isn't receiving the action. It's actually doing the action.
Exactly. That's a great way to think about it. And that's why you will often see sentences like, the population is expected to increase. Sales are forecast to rise. The number of tourists is predicted to grow. These are some of the most common structures in IELTS Academic Writing Task 1. Anna, let's check your understanding. Can we also say the population is expected to be increased?
Maybe. Both sentences sound possible to me.
That's exactly what many IELTS students think. But here's where many students make a mistake. Take a look at this sentence. The population is expected to be increased. Anna, would you write this sentence in your IELTS exam? What do you think? Students, I would like you to decide too. Would you accept this sentence in an IELTS report? Take 5 seconds to think. What do you think, Anna?
I think it sounds okay. I'm not completely sure, but I would probably write it.
That's a very common answer. In fact, thousands of IELTS students make exactly the same mistake. But before I tell you the answer, let's ask ourselves one simple question. Who is increasing the population?
Who? Nobody, I guess. The population just grows naturally.
Exactly. That's the key. The population isn't receiving the action from someone else. It increases by itself. So we say the population is expected to increase, not the population is expected to be increased.
I think I understand now. Whenever I use the passive form, I should be able to answer the question, who is doing the action?
Exactly. If there is no person or organization doing the action, you probably don't need the passive form. That's a really useful question to ask yourself in the IELTS exam.
So before I write to be increased, I'll stop and ask myself, who is increasing it?
Perfect. That one question will help you avoid a lot of grammar mistakes. Now let's move on to our second structure. To have increased. Take a look at this graph. Suppose today is 2025. According to the graph, sales will reach 25 million by 2035. Anna, if you were writing an IELTS report, how would you describe this trend? Students, now it's your turn. Which one do you choose?
I would probably say sales are expected to increase to 25 million by 2035.
Excellent. That's a perfect IELTS sentence. But here's something interesting. There is another sentence that is also correct. Listen carefully. By 2035, sales are expected to have increased to 25 million.
Both sentences sound correct, but I honestly don't know what the difference is.
That's exactly what I wanted you to notice. They are both correct. The difference isn't the meaning, it is the way we are looking at the future. Let's imagine we are standing in the year 2035. Has the increase already happened?
Yes, by then it has already finished.
Exactly. That's why we say to have increased. We are looking at a future point and saying the action will already be complete by that time.
So, to increase focuses on the action itself, but to have increased focuses on the completed result.
Exactly. That's the difference. Now let's compare the two sentences. Sales are expected to increase to 25 million by 2035. This sentence focuses on the future change. It tells us what's expected to happen in the future. Now look at the second sentence. By 2035, sales are expected to have increased to 25 million. This sentence is a little different. It means that when we reach 2035, the increase will already be complete. So, to increase focuses on the future action, but to have increased focuses on an action that will be completed by a future time.
I think I finally understand. It's almost like we are traveling to 2035 and looking back at what has already happened.
That's a brilliant way to think about it. Whenever you see by plus a future year, ask yourself, will the action already be finished? If the answer is yes, to have increased is often a great choice. If the answer is no, to increase is usually the better choice. So far, we have looked at situations where something changes naturally. Now let's look at a different kind of example. The government plans to increase education spending next year. Anna, who's doing the action here? Take a moment to think. Students, before Anna answers, think about your answer too.
The government. They're increasing the education budget.
Exactly. The government performs the action. Now, how would you complete this sentence? Education spending is expected to. What do you think?
Education spending is expected to be increased
Excellent. This time that's exactly right.
because the education budget does not increase by itself.
That's true. Someone is increasing it. In this case, it's the government.
So, this is different from the population. The population grows naturally, but the government increases the education budget.
Exactly, that's the difference. Let's compare these two examples. In the first sentence, the population is expected to increase. Here, nobody performs the action. The population simply changes by itself. Now, look at the second sentence. Education spending is expected to be increased. This time, someone performs the action. In this example, it is the government that increases education spending. Anna, can you see the simple question we have been asking in every example?
Yes, I just ask myself, who is doing the action? If someone is doing it, I usually need the passive form.
Awesome! Now we have reached our fourth and final structure. To have been increased. At first, it looks a little scary, but don't worry. It is actually just a combination of the two structures we have already learned.
Really? Because when I look at it, to have been increased, it looks much more complicated than the other three.
I know, it certainly looks longer, but let's break it into smaller pieces. Suppose today is 2025. The government plans to increase the education budget. By 2030, that increase will already be finished. Anna, who increases the education budget?
The government.
Good. Now, here's my second question. By 2030, has the increase already happened?
Yes, by then it will already be finished.
Exactly. Now, let's put these two ideas together. Someone performs the action, and the action will already be complete by a future time. So, we say, by 2030, the education budget is expected to have been increased by 20%.
Wait, I think I see it now. The sentence is passive because the government performs the action. And it's completed because we're talking about what will already be finished by 2030.
Exactly, you have just combined the two ideas we have already learned. We used to have increased when the action will be completed by a future time and nobody performs the action. Now compare that with to have been increased. Here the action will also be completed by a future time, but this time someone performs the action. So remember, if nobody does the action, use to have increased. If someone does the action, use to have been increased.
So I don't really have to learn a completely new grammar structure. I just need to combine two rules I already know.
That's exactly right. Once you understand the first three structures, the fourth one becomes much easier. Now let's see how much you have learned. Anna, don't answer just yet.
Really? You're not going to let me answer?
Not yet. First, I want everyone watching to try it themselves. On the screen, you will see the four structures we have learned today. Can you remember what each one means? I will give you 10 seconds. Ready? Let's begin. Time's up, Anna. Let's see how you did.
I'll try. To increase future action.
Excellent.
To have increased, the action will already be finished by a future time.
Exactly.
To be increased, someone performs the action.
Very good. And the last one?
To have been increased, someone performs the action and it will already be finished by a future time.
Perfect. You remembered all four. Now let's make them even easier to remember.
I like this summary much better. Instead of memorizing grammar names, I'm just remembering the ideas.
Exactly. Once you understand the idea, the grammar becomes much easier. Now it's time to see these four structures in real IELTS Task 1 sentences. Anna, this time I want you to decide which structure fits each sentence. Students, don't wait for Anna. Choose your answers before she does. You have 10 seconds for each example. Anna, which structure would you use?
I would say to increase. The number of tourists increases naturally.
Excellent. That's exactly right. Let's move to the next example. Anna, which structure would you use this time?
I would say to increase because we're talking about a future trend.
Let's think about that for a moment. I have a question for you. When we say by 2040, will the increase happen at that time or will it already be finished before that time?
It will already be finished by 2040.
So, would you still want to keep your answer or would you change it?
I think I'd change it. It should be to have increased. At first, I only noticed that it was talking about the future, but I forgot to pay attention to the word by. Since the action will already be complete by 2040, to have increased is the better choice.
Exactly, and that's a very common IELTS mistake. Many students focus on the future tense, but they forget to look for the word by. Whenever you see by plus a future year, stop for a moment and ask yourself, will the action already be complete by that time? If the answer is yes, to have increase is often a correct choice. Now, here's your next example.
This time, to be increased, because the government performs the action.
Excellent. Next.
This one should be to have been increased, because someone performs the action, and by 2040, the action will already be finished.
Fantastic. You have chosen all four correctly.
Actually, this is much easier than I expected. I just asked myself two questions. Who is doing the action? And will the action already be finished by that future time?
Exactly. Those two questions are all you need. Once you answer them, choosing the correct structure becomes much easier. Now it's time for our final challenge. Anna, 2 sentences will appear on the screen. I want you to choose the correct sentence. You have 10 seconds for each question. Anna, what's your answer?
I would choose B, because the population grows naturally. Nobody performs the action.
Exactly. Excellent explanation. Not only did you choose the correct answer, you explain why it is correct. That's exactly what I want everyone watching to do as well. Do not just memorize the answer. Always ask yourself, why? Okay, now, here's the second question. 10 seconds again. Okay, Anna, what's your answer this time?
I would choose B, because the government increases the budget, so someone is performing the action.
Excellent. You have gone from being confused at the beginning of today's lesson to explaining the rules confidently. I'm proud of you.
I can't believe it! At the beginning of the lesson, I thought these 4 structures were really confusing. Now they actually make sense.
Exactly. And remember, you don't have to memorize 4 complicated grammar rules. Just remember 2 simple questions. Who is doing the action? Will the action already be finished by that future time? If you can answer those 2 questions, choosing the correct structure becomes much easier.
I like that. Instead of memorizing 4 different structures, I'm just answering 2 simple questions. Thank you, Ali. I really enjoyed today's lesson. My IELTS exam is next Saturday. I hope to have mastered these 4 structures by then.
Hold on a second. Did you notice what you just said? You said, I hope to have mastered. You just used today's grammar perfectly.
You're right. I didn't even realize it. I guess it's starting to feel natural.
And if your IELTS exam is next week, I wish you the very best of luck. You've got it. Now let's wrap up today's lesson. If you enjoyed today's lesson, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a tip that could boost your score. Practice with heart, believe in yourself, and never stop learning. And remember, success comes step by step. I'm here to guide you, and I'll see you in the next session.
IELTS Clinic. Simple lessons, real results.
So if we learn how to write one paragraph, it will be easier to write the whole essay.
So it would be 7 plus 4 plus 4 equals 15. Then they divide it by 3. The introduction is like a map for your essay. So thus, therefore, as a result,